If you're over 65, this message could change everything about how you start your day. Stroke rarely comes with a warning. 1 minute you're fine, and the next you can't move your arm, your words come out wrong, or your memory starts to slip away. As a brain doctor who has spent over 3 decades treating older adults, I've seen one thing over and over again. Many seniors are unknowingly increasing their stroke risk every single morning, not with anything extreme or dramatic, but through small, everyday habits they don't even think twice about. The truth is, stroke is not random. It builds over time through silent stress on the brain, especially during the first few hours after waking, the time when your body is most vulnerable and your brain is still catching up. In this video, I'll walk you through the top daily habits that are quietly raising stroke risk in seniors overnight, and what simple changes can protect your brain for years to come. Stay with me, because by the end, you'll not only know the warning signs, you'll know exactly what to do tomorrow morning to protect your memory, your balance, and your independence. Before we get started, make sure to click subscribe and tap the bell icon. That way, you'll always stay updated with practical tips made specifically for your health journey. And if you're finding this helpful so far, drop a 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your feedback helps me improve what I share with you. 1. Ignoring morning dizziness or weakness. It starts with something so small, so ordinary, that many seniors never think twice about it. You wake up, you feel a little dizzy, maybe your legs are unsteady, your hand feels weaker than usual, or your speech sounds slightly off. You sit on the edge of your bed, shake it off, and tell yourself, it's just part of getting older. But here's the truth, it's not. And I say this not to scare you, but to save you. As a neurologist, I've seen this exact scene play out too many times. The problem isn't that seniors feel dizzy or weak in the morning. The problem is they ignore it. And what gets ignored today may cost them everything tomorrow. Let me tell you about Mr. Harold James, an 82-year-old retired firefighter from Indiana. He was healthy, independent, loved fishing with his grandson every Saturday. One morning, he told his wife he felt a little off. His left hand wasn't gripping the mug right. He figured it was arthritis or just slept wrong. He didn't mention the strange feeling in his face. He didn't call me. He didn't write it down. 2 days later, Harold suffered a massive ischemic stroke. His entire left side became paralyzed. He lost his ability to speak clearly. His days on the lake with his grandson, gone. His independence, gone. He now lives in an assisted care facility, not because he was weak, but because he ignored the early signs. Here's what many people don't realize. Those minor symptoms, morning dizziness, weakness in an arm, slurred speech, facial numbness, could be signs of a transient ischemic attack, TIA, often called a mini stroke. A TIA is like your brain sounding a fire alarm. The event may pass quickly, but the danger has only just begun. Studies show that 1 in 3 people who experience a TIA will have a major stroke within a year, most within the first 48 hours. And the most common time for these warning signs? Early morning. When your blood pressure shifts, your blood is more concentrated, and your brain, still adjusting from sleep, is most vulnerable. You might think it's harmless, just a senior moment, but a senior moment can become a life-altering moment if left unchecked. I tell every patient, if you ever wake up feeling dizzy, document it. If your face feels strange, look in the mirror, smile, raise both arms, speak a sentence. If something feels off, even if it goes away, call your doctor. And if you have a loved one who brushes these off, Don't let them, because the price of waiting is too high. Because once a stroke happens, it's not just your brain that suffers, it's your freedom, your mobility, your memories, your relationships. What's lost cannot always be rebuilt. But there is good news. If you listen to your body's whispers, you can avoid the screams. It all starts by treating small symptoms as big warnings. And here's something else that surprises even my most health conscious patients. Taking your medications late or skipping them altogether may be the fastest way to undo everything your body worked so hard to protect. Let's talk about that next. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now let's move on to point number 2. 2. Skipping or mismanaging your morning medications. If you're taking medication in the morning for blood pressure, cholesterol, blood thinning, or heart rhythm, let me be clear. Skipping a dose, taking it late, or doubling up just this once can be the silent beginning of a devastating stroke. I once had a patient, Mrs. Evelyn, age 76, from rural Georgia, a retired nurse, sharp as a tack, but living alone since her husband passed. She had high blood pressure for years, managed well with daily medication, but sometimes, she told me, she'd forget a dose and just take 2 the next morning to catch up. One day, after skipping 2 days of meds, she woke up with a splitting headache and trouble forming words. By the time the paramedics arrived, she was having a hemorrhagic stroke, a brain bleed, triggered by a blood pressure spike, and worsened by doubling her dose too late. She survived, but she lost her speech for nearly 6 months. That mistake, one she thought was minor, changed her life. You see, as a brain doctor, I've seen it too many times. Seniors meaning well, but not realizing the power and danger of their medications. Morning is the most vulnerable time for your brain. Your blood pressure naturally begins to rise as your body prepares to wake up. For older adults whose arteries may already be stiff or narrowed, this natural spike can put enormous pressure on the brain's blood vessels. That's why blood pressure medications, and others like statins or anticoagulants, are often prescribed to be taken early before this rise gets out of control. But if you forget or delay or take pills inconsistently, your protection drops sharply and your brain is suddenly exposed. What's worse, some seniors take their pills without water or with coffee, both of which can affect how the medicine is absorbed. Some even stop taking a pill completely because they felt fine for a few days. But stroke doesn't care how you feel today. It cares about how stable your circulation has been over time. And here's what most people don't realize. Taking your medication wrongly can be just as dangerous as not taking it at all. Taking 2 doses to make up for one missed day can drop your pressure too low, leading to dizziness, falls, or even internal bleeding, especially if you're on blood thinners. And once a stroke hits, you don't get a second chance to do it right tomorrow. Your pill bottle may look small, but its contents carry the weight of your future. It's not just a daily task. It's your first defense against brain injury. So set a timer, use a pill organizer, ask your pharmacist to simplify your routine. Because this isn't about being perfect, it's about being consistent. Every day you take your medication correctly is a day you stand between yourself and catastrophe. But even those who manage their medication well may unknowingly undo its benefits, all before breakfast. What if I told you that your morning coffee, especially when taken on an empty stomach, could quietly push your blood pressure into dangerous territory long before you even notice? Let me show you what really happens inside your body when you reach for that first cup, before food or water. 3. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach. There's a simple morning ritual millions of older adults rely on: waking up, heading to the kitchen, and pouring that first hot cup of coffee. It feels comforting, familiar, even necessary. But when you drink coffee on an empty stomach, especially before water or food, you may be setting off a cascade of silent stress inside your body, and the price could be far greater than you imagine. Let me tell you about Mr. Charles, a 77-year-old Korean War veteran from Arizona who had always prided himself on sticking to routine. "Coffee keeps me sharp," he told me at his first visit. He had been drinking 2 large cups every morning for decades, always before breakfast. One morning, after sipping his coffee as usual, he began feeling lightheaded, like his heart was racing too fast. Minutes later, he collapsed on the floor. What he experienced was a transient ischemic attack, TIA, a mini stroke, brought on by a sudden surge in blood pressure and an abnormal heart rhythm. He didn't know then that coffee on an empty stomach can tighten blood vessels, spike adrenaline, raise heart rate, and destabilize circulation. And Charles wasn't alone. Caffeine is a powerful stimulant. When consumed on an empty stomach, it's absorbed more quickly and hits the body harder. In seniors, whose vascular systems are already more fragile due to age, that sudden jolt can cause the heart to beat irregularly, blood pressure to climb too fast, and the brain, already sensitive to changes in blood flow, to become starved of oxygen. Your brain doesn't need shock. It needs steady, even support. But coffee, when misused, acts like a whip, and your aging vessels are not built to endure that kind of strain day after day. Worse, coffee can mask early symptoms of fatigue, dehydration, or low blood sugar. You might feel energized, but what's actually happening is your body is in a state of stress. Increased cortisol, faster heartbeat, tighter arteries. Over time, this wears down the protective layers around your heart and brain. In someone with atrial fibrillation, hypertension, or even mild cognitive impairment, this habit doesn't just raise stroke risk, it amplifies it. I've had patients who believed just coffee was harmless. But stroke doesn't need a dramatic trigger. It only needs the right pressure in the right vulnerable moment. Coffee without breakfast, without water, without balance, that's exactly the moment. What I tell my patients is simple: start your day with water, always. Then eat something small: a piece of toast, a boiled egg, even a banana. Only then sip your coffee and keep it moderate. 1 cup, no sugar overload, no extra creamer. Respect the power it holds. Because your brain is not asking for caffeine, it's asking for oxygen, hydration, and stability. And here's the hard truth: the habit that wakes you up could also be the one that silently shuts your brain down. Don't wait until the day your cup of comfort becomes the cup that broke your balance. Still, even if you get the coffee part right, there's another mistake I see far too often, one that shows up in your breakfast plate. It looks healthy, but it's loaded with something your brain fears the most. Let's talk about sodium and why your high salt breakfast might be doing far more harm than you realize. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now let's keep going with point number 4. 4. Holding in your morning urine. It's a habit so common, so routine, that most people don't think twice about it. But for older adults, holding in your urine first thing in the morning is far more dangerous than it seems. You might not realize it, but this seemingly minor decision can silently raise your blood pressure, stress your heart, and trigger the exact conditions that lead to stroke. Let me tell you about Mrs. Darlene, a 79-year-old widow from Indiana. She had a morning routine: wake up, check her emails, scroll through the news on her iPad, and put off going to the bathroom until after coffee. She didn't want to feel rushed, but what she didn't know, what no one had ever told her, is that the longer she delayed urinating in the morning, the more pressure built up in her body. Her bladder was full, but her stress hormones were even fuller. One morning, after a long night of poor sleep and a second cup of coffee, she stood up and collapsed. She'd suffered a hypertensive crisis that triggered a small stroke. Thankfully, she survived, but her balance has never been the same. I thought it was just a bad habit, she told me. I never imagined it was a medical risk. Here's what happens behind the scenes when you ignore your bladder's morning signal. Your body interprets a full bladder as a form of internal stress. In response, your adrenal glands release cortisol and adrenaline, the same hormones your body uses in a fight or flight situation. These hormones narrow your blood vessels and raise your blood pressure, which in someone over 65, especially with underlying heart disease or hypertension, can be catastrophic. The pressure doesn't just stay in your bladder, it builds across your cardiovascular system. Your blood becomes harder to pump. The arteries in your brain, which are often already stiff or partially narrowed, feel that pressure first. That's when a vessel can rupture or a clot can form, all because you waited 10 minutes longer than you should have. What's worse, that full bladder can also disrupt your heart rhythm. In susceptible seniors, it may trigger atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat that dramatically increases the chance of a blood clot reaching your brain. We often talk about listening to your body, but the truth is, many of us, especially as we get older, start ignoring the body's earliest messages. And we don't realize that these small decisions are silently leading us down a dangerous path. So the next time you wake up and feel the urge, don't delay. Don't reach for your phone. Don't check your messages. Don't wait for coffee. Just go. It's not a matter of comfort. It's a matter of brain protection. Because when your bladder speaks, your brain is listening. And if you fail to act, the cost may be far greater than a few moments of inconvenience. But there's another morning mistake I see far too often, and it happens before your feet even hit the floor. It's something most seniors do without thinking, but it can cause a sudden drop in blood flow to the brain, leading to falls, fainting, and even a stroke in the first 10 seconds of your day. Let me show you why jumping out of bed too quickly might be one of the most dangerous habits you didn't know you had. 5. Jumping out of bed too quickly. It's something most people never question, especially older adults who've spent a lifetime rising with purpose. You wake up, swing your legs over the side of the bed, and stand. It feels automatic. But for seniors, getting out of bed too quickly can be far more dangerous than it appears. And it might be the very moment your brain is most vulnerable. You see, after a full night of sleep, your body is in a relaxed state. Your blood pressure is lower, your circulation slower, and your brain has been resting in a horizontal position for 6 to 8 hours. The moment you sit up or stand suddenly, gravity pulls blood away from the brain. In healthy young people, the body adjusts instantly. But in older adults, especially those with narrowed arteries, heart disease, or a history of low blood pressure, that adjustment can fail. The result? A dangerous drop in brain perfusion, dizziness, fainting, falls, or worse, a stroke. I'll never forget Mr. Ray, a 74-year-old farmer from Iowa who had always been up before sunrise. He told me he never liked lingering in bed. It wasn't in his nature. But one morning, He stood up fast, took a few steps, and suddenly collapsed in his kitchen. His wife found him on the floor, unable to speak. He'd had a left sided ischemic stroke, likely triggered by a momentary drop in blood flow to the brain. His MRI showed multiple tiny infarcts, signs that his brain had already been struggling to get enough oxygen in the mornings. That collapse was just the final warning. The tragedy? It could have been prevented with just 90 seconds of patience. From a medical standpoint, this condition is known as orthostatic hypotension, a sudden drop in blood pressure when you change positions. It's common in older adults and even more dangerous when combined with dehydration, medications, or poor sleep. The signs are often subtle: a little lightheadedness, a sense of floating, or blurry vision. But the consequences can be devastating. What makes this habit so risky is that it happens at the exact time your brain is already trying to recalibrate for the day. You're asking your heart to push blood upward against gravity before it's ready. And for those with underlying vascular issues, that sudden pressure shift is simply too much. And if you fall, you may not just hit your head. A hip fracture, for example, has a 1 in 5 mortality rate in older adults within 1 year. You're not just risking your brain, you're risking your independence. So here's what I tell every senior I work with. When you wake up, pause. Take 3 deep breaths. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Gently sit up and let your body catch up to your mind. Then, when you're ready, stand slowly. Those 2 minutes could mean the difference between a normal day and the beginning of a long and painful recovery. Because stroke doesn't just steal movement, it steals time, energy, and moments you can never get back. But the good news is, once you understand these risks, you can act, you can change. In fact, everything you've learned, from morning medications to bathroom habits to how you rise from bed, adds up to one powerful truth. Your mornings are either building a stronger brain or breaking it down day by day. So what can you do right now to protect your mind, your balance, and your years ahead? Let's bring it all together, and I'll show you exactly how to reshape your morning routine step by step into a shield that safeguards your future. Your morning habits shape the rest of your life. After decades of caring for the aging brain, I've learned one truth that never changes. It's not the big events that hurt us. It's the small things we ignore, day after day. A stroke doesn't always arrive with drama. Sometimes it starts as a moment of dizziness you dismiss, a forgotten pill, a skipped glass of water, holding in your morning urine, thinking it can wait, or leaping out of bed too quickly because you've always done it that way. But when you reach your 60s, 70s, and beyond, your body is speaking to you differently. And if you don't listen, the price can be devastating, not just to your body, but to your identity, your independence, and the life you've built. You've likely worked hard your entire life, raised a family, served your community, provided for others. You deserve to enjoy the years ahead, fully present, mentally sharp, physically steady. You deserve mornings that start with strength, not fear. But that only happens when you give your brain the respect it needs, especially in those first few minutes after waking. What we covered today may seem simple. Sit up slowly, drink water before coffee, take your medications on time every day. Don't ignore small symptoms. Honor your body's signals, even the quiet ones. These are not minor tips. They are lifelines. I've seen patients who lived 10, even 15 years longer with full mobility, clear memory, and rich relationships simply because they made small, smart changes in their morning routine. I've also sat with families heartbroken because someone didn't. Please don't let that be your story. Let this be the moment you take control. Let this be the day you stop rushing through your mornings and start protecting them. Because the way you begin your day truly determines how you'll live the rest of it and eventually the rest of your life. You're not powerless. You're not too late. You're not too old. With awareness, consistency, and small daily care, you can safeguard the most precious thing you have, your mind. So, tomorrow morning, when your eyes open, take a breath. Sit still for a moment, remember this message, and start your day with intention, not just for yourself, but for those who love you and want more mornings with you. Because every stroke that's prevented is a life that stays whole, and every good morning is a chance at a longer, brighter future. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.